Of the Paul Harold program. We got a lot to talk about, namely the Devil's Den murderer has been arrested, and I know we all are going to say, guilty or innocent until proven guilty, rather. But we've got the press conference for you from last night, and the prosecutor as well. I mean, they've got a DNA match here from the crime scene to where they picked him up at a barber shop. We're going to have that for you, as well as even more declassification has happened. More documents are now available. When it comes to, what Tulsi Gabbard is exposing, what Senator Chuck Grassley is exposing, now the Clintons even more implicated, the Hillary Clinton campaign. The whole thing was a hoax from the beginning, before the FBI even opened up the investigation. We've got all of these stories for you and more. The Paul Harold program starts right now.
The Paul Harold program.
All right, as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the affable Rob Spencer.
I don't know how affable I am, but I appreciate the compliment here. So, obviously, here in the state of Arkansas, we've been very, very concerned about the Devil's Den murder and this tragic thing that happened where this guy was on the loose. I mean, he found a family, and a 7-year-old and 9-year-old girl witnessed the brutal murder of their parents, and it was... We don't know the motive yet. We don't know. We just know that he was a licensed school teacher who had taught in several states, and he was about to start. He was going to be as a fifth grade teacher.
Yeah, or I've heard he's taught fifth grade, fourth grade, and I think he was going to be starting teaching third grade.
Right, and so just of course. My goodness, you want to speculate what his motive was when he sees a couple with a 7 and 9-year-old girl, especially when some new information comes out, which we will go over. And then, of course, what we're learning is that the deep state is running scared right now. Tulsi Gabbard has had, and the FBI, I mean, basically have just got the deep state sweating right now, and rightfully so, because we're tired of it.
Yeah, no, we are tired of it. If you guys hear a little something in the background, I don't know if they can hear it, but
yeah, our studio is having some work done.
Yeah, it's been a long process to replace the toilet, and they needed sheetrock, and the sheetrock, of course, needs mudding, and now apparently it's sanding day today.
Yeah, it's sanding day and all of that stuff. I mean, we get it. There's construction. We've had it, whether it's at your house or your office, you've experienced it. But when you have a studio that is undergoing construction, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah,
so.
I don't even know if they can hear it, but I can hear it, so I'm imagining they can hear it. But anyway, so let's get to it. Let's get right into the Devil's Den situation, where we'll go first to the press conference. This was the press conference yesterday evening. I think it commenced at like 9:30, and we have the Colonel Mike Hagar of the Arkansas State Police.
Opportunity to see them, talk to them, thank them in person. At the culmination of this, they're absolutely exhausted. They put every bit of their heart and soul into this investigation to get this suspect brought into custody and taken off the streets, and I cannot thank them enough for that. Also want to thank our law enforcement partners. We are truly blessed in Arkansas. It's not always common, and that's unfortunate, but we have a relationship with our state, local, and federal counterparts that's second to none. There was an incredible amount of cooperation and collaboration that went into this investigation. No part is less than any other's part. There's a total package that has to be looked at, has to be investigated, and these groups work together in a very impressive way, and we can't thank them enough. Not just on this case, but in every case that we work within state police. To have that partnership with them is really valuable. I want to thank the public for providing images and videos from cell phones, home, and business security footage that directly advanced this investigation. We'll talk a little bit more about how that played out, but the information that was put out and the request for information back from the public directly resulted in this person being brought into custody.
So what I can figure from this, they go on to talk about they had 500 tips.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many houses you pass on the way out of Devil's Den, but I'm assuming you're going to pass some of them.
Sure.
And I'm assuming some people are going to have that, maybe the Ring doorbell camera or something like that. And so they go and they review their footage, and here they find, they get the description of the car, which wasn't a Mazda, it was a Hyundai Stinger. It was more of a sporty car, is what we now know.
It's just really hard to find. When you know that it's a 2-door, 4-door sedan. I mean, there's so many things. Like the vehicles look so similar, and so it's just like I don't think that you should put any stock in. Oh, that was a misinformation. I've also seen too where people were like ripping on the fact that the sketch didn't necessarily match the guy too closely, and I just want to like reach through the computer, reach through the cell phone, whatever you see that comment on, and I just want to grab a hold of them and just punch them in the face until they're a bloody mess. And I know that's like my alpha,
a little graphic.
Yeah, it's just my alpha stuff, because I just want to say to them, a 7 and 9-year-old girls who just saw their parents murdered were the ones who were talking with this sketch artist that we know that if you believe all the reports here. So a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old girl who just saw their parents murdered were the ones given, and you want to criticize it and say that, oh, that doesn't really look like it.
Yeah.
You know what? Screw you.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
We've got the photos. I mean, we now know what he looks like. We've got the apprehension. So yeah, I haven't even heard that. You're saying there's people out there ripping the sketch artist
here locally. You can look on our local news station.
Well, they had a whole thing in the press conference about
people.
Telling people on social media to just cool it and to stop, because they're having to relive this. Some of them are. There's actually 3 daughters. There's one daughter that wasn't on the trail with them that day, and I don't know if that daughter is younger or older.
Okay,
but. Anyway, this is the guy, James McGann.
My God, man, look at him!
Absolutely, this is the I think the mug shot, because I think he's still wearing the barbershop gown.
They say not to judge a book by its cover, but I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I'm judging.
Yeah, investigators say James McGann had no connection to the couple. He's accused of killing while they were hiking the Devils in Arkansas. They just removed him from. He just moved from Oklahoma and was employed at a local school. This is according to Brian Enton. And then we have this post from Sarah Fields, another post saying he was a teacher in Texas. So it looks like he was a teacher in Texas. He was a teacher in Arkansas, or a teacher in Oklahoma. And he was going to start in Springdale, Arkansas, this next semester.
Yeah, so for folks who are not familiar with that, so Springdale essentially attaches to Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is northwest Arkansas. Fayetteville, Arkansas is where the home of the University of Arkansas. And I bring that up, and I've talked about it on several shows, because we don't have professional sports teams here in the state of Arkansas. So a lot of folks know the University of Arkansas, the Razorbacks, and all of that, because they're on the sort of more on the national scene. And so northwest Arkansas, there's tons of money over there. There's that's the home of Walmart. It's the home of Tyson Chicken. It's the home of J.B. Hunt, the trucking company, all of that. So there's a ton of money in northwest Arkansas, and so it's centered around that Bentonville, Fayetteville, Springdale area. And so if this guy, he had access, if he's a predator, which there are certain reports that are indicating that he could have been a predator.
So around the 16-minute mark in this press conference, again, that aired last night, where they were talking about, apprehending this guy, finally arresting him. The prosecutor saying, "You are safe." We did get a question about him potentially being a child predator.
And they all kind of gave the synopsis of perhaps he was a predator. Their children felt like he preyed on younger age girls during his time teaching in those states. We were wondering, have you been exploring any connections to the crimes that McGann may have been connected with, and any indication that this was his first time committing this? Was
Great
he after
question.
those girls? Were those his target?
From what we know right now, we have no indication to suggest that the girls were his target.
So they're giving very straightforward answers. So
Yeah.
in the press conference, they were very clear. Look, there are two phases of investigation. The first phase is we got to go find the guy who did this.
Yeah.
And then the second phase is motive.
Right.
And so they got asked a lot of questions about motive, and they're very clear. We don't know motive yet.
Yeah.
They did say that the guy already confessed. Like, they brought him in and he said he did it.
Yeah.
They also have DNA samples. He was injured. They did report that there was an altercation. Obviously, the victims
Oh, he was
were there.
injured in the altercation?
He was injured in the altercation.
So
and
the
had blood loss. So it looks like the father or something did
for
something.
him.
And
I
don't
know that-
they were able to collect DNA. We now know they were able to collect his DNA at the scene.
Yeah.
And then they were able to match his DNA. He was at the barbershop, so they had hair on the floor. And I believe they used his hair.
Well, like, that's really quick turnaround, right? Like we see in the movies and on the television shows a lot of times it's like, oh, it'll be 60 days.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll get you this DNA in 60 days, and you're just like, okay, well, how many more people could he kill in that time frame? So, you know, I want to look at it and I want to say, hey, we always want to assign motive, right? Like, we want to say, like, this doesn't make sense. Why would someone do such a heinous, tragic thing? And people very rarely are without motive. There's always some sort of indication. Mm-hmm. And a person who teaches 7 to 9-year-olds attacked parents with the 7 and a 9-year-old girl. You know, there are reports there that he allegedly made inappropriate comments, like, right. And so there are parents that are coming out whose students used to be in his classroom who are coming out and saying, "Oh my gosh, man, he just looks like a
I know, man.
like this
I know.
dude is roaming free."
This apparently
you know?
was his online dating profile photo.
Yeah, ladies, how you feeling about this guy? You know,
Here's
with this.
Tony Brewski says, looks like James Andrew McGann was going to be a third grade teacher at Bayari Elementary in Springdale, Arkansas, the coming school year. Can we get a close up of this? This is what he looks like. I mean, so there he doesn't look. I mean, he does look weird now that we know, but and not as goofy or not as terrifying, I guess I should say. Our third grade team has a new addition too. This was back on June 12th. Help us welcome Mr. McGann. Hello, my name is Drew McGann. I'm thrilled to be a part of the Bayari team this year. As a third grade teacher, I have 3 years of certified teaching experience and a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education from Oklahoma State University. In my free time, I love going to concerts with friends, working out, and being outdoors. I look forward to being an asset at the Bayari family this year and living in the gorgeous state of Arkansas.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I mean, it's again, we play Monday morning quarterback and we say, oh, this guy seems weird and all of this stuff. But as a former school teacher, here's basically what happened. So I had a background check. I had to be fingerprinted. They went through all of this to make sure that I was not some criminal, right? And that happens where you if you don't have some sort of criminal record, you know, and you potentially are a predator, how is anybody supposed to know?
Yeah.
Right? Like how does anybody know you're evil until your evil shows? Mm-hmm. You know, and maybe his evil has shown before and it was on a much lower scale. But his evil showed that day. Yeah. You know, and he made two now what we find out 3 children parentless.
There is to the idea that he's a predator. People have posted this on social media in response. So Andrew McGann this is somebody claiming to know who this guy is. It says Andrew McGann was Jax's 4th grade teacher when he was a student at Donald Elementary. Him and several classmates noticed inappropriate behavior from him towards several little girls in the class. It was reported to the principal, somebody named Heather Shorter at the time, and he was allowed to, this is the allegation, that he was allowed to resign without any consequence, and even went on to continue teaching in another district. Finding out he went on to kill a couple in front of their 2 little girls is horrifying, and the fact that there were warning signs and he was continually allowed to around children is a travesty.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
If that's true, that is outrageous.
If it's true, it's outrageous. And also, so number one, let's stop and give props to the Arkansas State Police.
Amen. Yes.
All of the law enforcement who, because this tragedy happened on Saturday.
Yeah,
is that what it was?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so we're filming this on Thursday, so we're filming it roughly 5 days later. And he was arrested last night or yesterday evening.
Yeah,
all of that stuff. I think
he probably was being arrested while we were on the air. Or
yeah,
they were because he was getting a haircut. I mean, most barber shops close around 5. So.
Right, and we had received some confidential information that it was happening, so we probably knew before the majority of the state knew.
Yeah,
because we had received this information, and luckily. This thing didn't happen. So, didn't drag on because he was arrested 4 days after. So props to the law enforcement. But if this account is true, if there were warning signs, when are we going to stop and say that, hey, you have the makings of a predator, you have the makings of what I'm thinking out loud with this. I didn't sort of pre-think all of this stuff, but I'm a little bit concerned that if that account is true and he's made inappropriate comments toward little girls, that something was not done. Why was his teaching license not revoked? Right. I understand that he has not been charged with anything prior to this, as far as we know, but a license is a privilege. It's not a right.
Being allowed to resign.
Yes,
you're allowed to resign.
Okay.
No, there should have been some investigation. You should have been fired.
Yeah,
and then you go through a process, and then there's a paper trail as to why you were fired. There's at least something written, and that record should follow you, even if you don't get your teacher's license.
Was the school district kicking the can down like, hey, we'll let somebody else deal with this crap?
I mean, I
don't know.
Not to just jump, professions, but you see this all the time. There was that podcast, I think the original Dr. Death, that detailed this neurosurgeon that just kept putting people, and you couldn't get the Texas Medical Board to do anything. One hospital would just dismiss him, and he'd go to another hospital and another hospital, and you could not get the people in charge to actually do their jobs.
Right.
And so I think we've got that, that mentality is rampant in all professions now.
So I talked to this, he was an elementary school principal for like 30 years. And we were working together, and this was not in the school district. He had left the profession and whatever. And he told me, he said there was a school teacher who she was terrible. And, of course, she wasn't a predator or anything like that. She was just a terrible teacher. Mm-hmm. And it's very challenging. It's very difficult to fire a teacher unless they've been put on an improvement plan and then they're still failing and all of this stuff. And so it's very difficult to fire them. You have to have a reason, right? And if the reason's not good enough, you're going to end up in court, okay?
Right.
And what he said was he received a call from another principal at a different school and just said, hey, your such and such teacher has applied for a job here. And what he said was immediately, oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh, man, are you serious? She's leaving. Oh, she's one of the best teachers I have. Okay. Gets about halfway through the school year, and that other principal calls him and says, you son of a bitch. And says, what are you talking about? And he goes, I'm sorry, I had to get rid of her. Right. And it was, he knew that if he told the truth, that person wasn't going to take him. He was passing the problem. And this is what this reeks of to me. It reeks of, if that is true, I am passing the problem to someone else.
Yeah. Wow.
When it could have been, which makes me so sick to my stomach, because if that's true, then it could have been prevented.
If that's true, now you have a couple that's dead. because of that. If again these accounts are true, but it looks like they are. I mean, the guy's been at several schools.
Gosh.
What does this one say? Our third grade team. Okay, we've already gone
over that one. Yeah.
You're allowed to resign. Yeah, in either Texas or Oklahoma.
Can I say something on a national level? Because this is stuff that I've seen in the comments here, especially after Governor Sanders has come out and said, hey, if you do these violent things in the state of Arkansas, you're going to be prosecuted and all of that stuff.
Right.
And what are we seeing in the comments? And what people are saying is, oh, look up the violent crime rate in Arkansas. It's one of the worst states. Okay. I want to say to those people on a national level, I want you to say, do not look at the state overall. Just like anything, you shouldn't look at the state overall, because law enforcement is a local jurisdiction, a local thing. Mm-hmm. It is not a statewide thing. We've got the Arkansas State Police, but we had former Arkansas State Police Officer Dwight Tosh on here that said we have to be invited into these scenarios.
Right.
Because it's local jurisdictions that take care of this stuff. So what we have are a few epicenters of crime. So if you looked at the worst cities in the state of Arkansas, you would find Pine Bluff, West Memphis, Arkansas, Little Rock, which is our capital.
Yeah.
Okay. Forest City. Okay. You would see these. You would see these areas where there's a ton of crime. We are currently in Jonesboro, Arkansas, which is northeast Arkansas, which is not. There's some crime. We have violent crime. No city is 100% safe. I'm going to not go any further with it, but I'm just going to say you do your own Google search as to why you think those cities in the state of Arkansas are very high on the crime level. You get to decide that. You do a little bit of research about that city, and you tell me why you think those cities are skewing the crime numbers. Because the crime's not happening in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's not happening in Jonesboro, Arkansas. It's not happening in these areas that are highly populated with, I'm going to stop myself. I'm going to stop myself. But I'm just going to say Arkansas is not an unsafe state. We have some unsafe areas of certain cities. Right. And you can do your own research as to why that is.
I don't understand.
And we keep dancing around it, Paul.
Well, it's
we keep
dancing
around it.
Yeah, but I guess I don't understand why now would be a time to try to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She kicked the press conference off yesterday.
Well, they just hate her anyway.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And so she's trying to say, look,
she says.
She's standing up for law and order, and then they're again. You're right. They are. It is a skewed. You can't just take it at the state level. You have to dive down and look at the demographics.
It'd be like saying that Tennessee is an unsafe state because
of Memphis.
You know, and you're like, okay, well, you can do a little bit of research on Memphis, and you tell me why you think it's unsafe.
I like it.
And it's not. What are we going to do here? It's not.
Yeah. Well, I want to echo what you said about the Arkansas State Police. People were scared, especially in that area. This guy's been caught. The prosecuting attorney for that area, Washington County, has said basically, you're innocent until proven guilty, but I believe we have the right guy, and so you're safe. Devil's Den Park's going to open back up. I'm going to be the first one on the trail. So he's trying to tell the community, hey, look, we got this guy, so don't be afraid. Yeah. Don't be afraid anymore.
Good, because there was a lot honestly, the people that knew about it, we talked about there were a lot of people who just kind of live in their own bubble, and they didn't really understand or know what was happening. But the people who knew about it were very nervous and scared because, there was a killer on the loose.
So we have, switching topics to this declassification. It is crazy. It's like
the deep state.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Well,
mercy.
it's nuts. We're being inundated. We have John Durham's annex documents, right? We have those. Chuck Grassley has released that. People are diving into it. There's some explosive stuff in there. And then at the same time, Tulsi Gabbard has released a whistleblower account from apparently one of the good guys deep into the intel community who has been trying to blow the whistle on them concocting the Russia collusion hoax from the beginning, and at every turn has been blocked. Even this person, according to Tulsi Gabbard, reached out to John Durham. This person reached out to U.S. senators and got nowhere. And so the reporting is because since Tulsi Gabbard has been in there, she has put some extra protections in for whistleblowers that enable them to come out. And so we have it's like a whirlwind of
Well, the
of
liberals
information going on.
they absolutely love whistleblowers.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Until they don't. Yeah. Until they don't. So let's I want to get into it. We've got I'm going to contrast and compare here. I got this old Hillary Clinton video that I want to play once we kind of dive into what are some of these new
Oh,
revelations.
fun. I've been wanting to hear from her.
I know, right? These Durham Annex files are disturbing. Clandestine writes, the Clinton campaign, in coordination with the Obama administration, the media, and the intelligence community, wittingly coordinated to demonize Putin and Trump and blame them for the DNC hack. And then he puts out there Seth Rich. They were all in on it. And now this is controversial because, Seth Rich was murdered. They didn't take his wallet. They didn't steal anything. Instead, they've always blamed Russia on hacking the DNC. Everybody has blamed Russia.
Russia,
for it.
bad.
And matter of fact, in this annex, that is still kind of assumed in some places that's what happened. And we never really. There's many people, myself included, that tend to believe that it was Seth Rich. I speculate that it was actually Seth Rich that stole the documents and hacked the DNC. Right,
Yeah.
but they blame Russia. Of course, Julian Assange, who had the documents, always said the source is not Russia. We really need Julian Assange to come out and tell us what's actually going on here. But so we have.
Well, they just wouldn't believe. They would just be like, "Oh, you're an admitted liar."
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. But so Leonard Bernardo, we have these emails now that John Durham had communicating between the Hillary Clinton campaign. So,
okay, do we know who Leonard Bernardo is? Because I've never heard that name
yes,
before.
I mean, I have never heard that name. Somebody affiliated with the campaign. I think they tell us. I think he's affiliated with George Soros, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the media analysis on the DNC hacking appears solid. This is an important story because it would be the first time that we know of that a state deliberately uses the infiltration and publication of data to interfere in a U.S. election. Now, full stop. So, one of the key bedrocks, one of the key foundations of this entire Russia hoax was establishing that it was Russia that hacked the Democrat National Committee. And they use that as a key foundation to push everything else. And so I know that it wasn't Russia because it wasn't Russia for anything else. But anyway, they say at that time, the politicization is on the table. I have been a bit surprised that nobody has mentioned this 18-month-long story yet in their analysis and makes explicit reference to U.S. elections at the end. Julie says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. Stop. This is before the FBI has opened up any sort of investigation on Trump in Russia. Literally.
So they're saying this is what we're going to direct the FBI to do.
The FBI is going to put more oil
which we
onto
know
the fire.
is that's what Tulsi, that's what Cash, all these people are saying.
Yes. Outcome is far from clear as Americans are more keen on their own woes and Hillary is hardly good looking as far as credibility is concerned. Anyway, things are ghastly for U.S.-Russia relations. This is just one excerpt, folks, and it gets even juicier. Respond to that.
First of all, Clandestine is a phenomenal follow on X, by the way. If you want to follow him, her, I don't know, but follow them. X.
He's a he, I believe.
Okay. And follow us, too. Real Paul Talk Show.
Yeah, that's right.
On X. Please follow us here. But that is so interesting, and we know it without knowing it, but now we know it.
Yeah.
We're telling this what the FBI will do. I thought that they're an independent government agency designed to investigate wherever, like go where the investigation leads them rather than where they were told to go.
Basically, this email is predicting an FBI investigation on something that's totally made up.
Predicting. It's not even a prediction. You know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're saying
it's already been agreed upon.
This is the plan of action.
Yeah.
We are going to instruct the FBI to do this to give it validity.
And then we go to this next one. You're exactly right, Rob. John Solomon from Justin News, he says, this is the smoking gun. This is smoking gun evidence inside the Durham Annex. If it is authenticated by further investigation, it means liberal mega donor George Soros' team knew the whole Clinton plan for Russiagate hoax 4 days before FBI opened up the probe. And so did Obama, Brennan, and Comey. Again, an email sent July 27th, 2016, so in the middle of the summer, 2016, Leonard Bernardo, hi. Hillary Rodham Clinton approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russia hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level.
Oh, my gosh.
The point is making the Russian play a U.S. domestic issue, say something like a critical infrastructure threat for the election, to feel menace, since both POTUS and Vice POTUS have acknowledged the fact that IC would speed up searching for evidence that is regrettably still unavailable. Meaning they haven't. Once again, this is an admission.
Wait a minute.
They don't have evidence that
We got to look for the evidence to back up our plan that we're going to go ahead and put in place.
However, there seems to be signs. GRU, I think that's Russian intelligence penetration. They appear hardly skilled, incompetent, bumbling idiots, as somebody called them. In absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media, and the GRU will hopefully carry on to give more facts. So the Russian intelligence, obviously, the Russian intelligence service is always doing something, just like any intelligence is doing something. So they're literally praying that this narrative comes to fruition. And on this same email that John Solomon says is a smoking gun, Mike Benz has he said his mind is basically exploding in an earlier post. He says, holy effing excrement, he says. This is the GD classified index that has been classified for 9 GD years. This is where they cooked up the critical infrastructure hoax that created the legal predicate cover for the entire censorship industrial complex. So think social media censoring conservatives, think COVID censorship, think all of that. Mike Benz is saying this email that's hatching this plot, say something like a critical infrastructure threat for the election. So this, I think this is an interesting nugget to grab onto here, that this plan over the last decade, I mean, we have seen censorship up until Musk got Twitter. The censorship in this country has been out of control, totally out of control. And Benz is saying this was one of the reasons why, because this gave them the onus to say, because you remember you had Mark Zuckerberg's got to crack down on Facebook because the Russians put Trump in office and the Russians were running Facebook ads.
And the White House was even flagging, we saw this during COVID, but the White House was flagging stuff even back then. Anything that was considered Russian disinformation, was getting flagged. But what we're seeing here is we're creating Russian disinformation.
Exactly right.
We're creating it. It was a critical infrastructure threat. We're creating it, and we're blaming the evil Russians. And this was just a few years after Obama said, this is just several years after Obama said, the 80s called and they want their foreign policy
exactly
back.
Right. That's exactly right.
It's the same playbook. Blame the Russians.
Unbelievable. All right, so then we have another clandestine. This was in response. This was summarizing the smoking gun John Solomon tweet. There you have it, the email evidence from the Durham Annex proving that the Clinton campaign and George Soros helped Obama and his intelligence cronies with setting up the Russia hoax before the FBI opened an investigation. They were all in on it. Treason. And then that brings us to this clip right here of Hillary Clinton pushing the Trump collusion hoax that she made up herself. Just go back and watch. This is a 30-second clip. Just go back and listen to this. And it's
okay. Before you play this, just know anybody listening to this, and I know I would assume liberals are not listening to us, but I wish that they were. If a liberal was listening to this, just know she knowingly what? Okay, let me say this again. She's about to say some words. Before she says those words, she knows
They're total lies.
they're total lies.
total lies.
She completely knows she's lying here.
Yep.
But she's saying them anyway. Why? Why? Because she's trying to make herself look better.
Honestly,
Trump bad.
Like I know people lie every day, but or they but like just kind of go like, when's the last time you have just straight up, told a total lie? Like, not even a half truth, just like a total lie. You know what I mean? As an adult,
As a straight up like
as an
thing.
adult.
I mean, you might say something to, you might say something to your, I don't know, maybe to your spouse or whatever about a new haircut. Like that's not applicable to me. Like
Right.
my wife hasn't got.
No, yeah,
but you might.
but like as an adult, you don't just make up stories out of whole cloth.
No.
Like I'm teaching my 8-year-old right now. Like, hey, is that really what happened, or did you just exaggerate a little bit there?
Yeah.
We're talking about completely phony, made up stuff, and I feel like we need to. Maybe I'm just naive, but I feel like we need to really you could rest on that, marinate on that for a second. Like these people are psycho, evil, wicked individuals.
Yeah, and talking about how the perception will be with the public.
Yeah.
And how it will manipulate them, and this is what we'll say. It's like because they're too stupid to know otherwise.
Yeah, I mean it's one thing to run a political campaign. I've worked on a political campaign before. Other people work on politics. You take something that actually has happened and you shape the narrative. You do your talking points. You figure out what words are going to work best to get your message across.
Yeah.
But you just don't make up something out of whole cloth like your opponent is a traitor, and then get all of the information. Anyway,
it's the stupidest thing in the world. Like anybody would, like even if you were on the left, if you were an objective person, you knew that Donald Trump was not a Russian spy. My God, man, we're not in a 007 movie
but
here.
They wanted it to be true.
They wanted it.
They wanted it to be
Orange
true.
Man bad.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, what else do we
Every
have?
word that she's about to say is a lie.
Yeah, all right. Let's take a listen.
The only other adversary of ours who's anywhere near as good as the Russians is China. So why should Russia have all the fun? And since Russia is clearly backing Republicans, why don't we ask China to back us?
I hereby tonight ask China.
That's right. And not only that, China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? I'm sure our media would richly reward you. The only other adversary of ours who's anywhere near as good as the Russians is China.
So Rob is switching seats here real quick in the studio because we got one camera glitching and we've got one camera that is not glitching. So let's see if we can hang on a second. Let's see if we can. Whenever you get ready.
I feel pretty.
Let's see here. What does it
You're
look
still on
like?
my old camera.
Yeah, I am. Now, there you are.
Oh, look at me. I just feel so special.
Okay, so.
Get your cup out of my
Sorry,
shot.
my bad. All right, so. Sorry about
Should I
that.
be this way. Okay.
All right, well.
Does it work?
Yeah, it's
this my
working.
camera?
So,
Okay.
yeah, there you go.
All
That's it right there. All right, so what are your thoughts on? Should we listen to it again, or we're distracted?
No, I
Hillary
get it.
pushing the
She's trying to
Trump-Russia
say-
collusion. It's nuts.
She's trying to say that we know that that the Russians are trying to help Donald Trump. We know that. So we're going to ask China to help us. Okay, number one, you don't know that because you are literally lying. You know the Russians are not trying to help Trump. Are they trying to gather intel on both of you? Yeah, they are. 100% they are, because that's what Russian does. The Russians do, but they do that globally. They're trying to cause and sow chaos throughout the world, because it stirs us up and it makes us all angry. And the Democrats bought into it because it was politically advantageous to them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Treason, though, I mean, like that's what I keep coming back to. All right, now here's I think I found this from Green Lives Matter. But I feel like this is a really interesting summary, and we're also then going to listen to Brian Williams real quick. But just
Oh, gosh.
So hang on a second. Let me throw this up.
I was there. I got blown up.
Hang on.
There was a helicopter, and I was on it.
Hang on 1 second. Let me fix this setting. We gotta fix this setting live here.
Oh, my gosh, man. Like,
real
come
quick.
on. Are we talking about Brian Williams here? Like, this dude.
There we go.
This dude.
Sorry. All right. Now I've got it.
All right, let's see what we got.
All right. Sorry, I had to move that camera. So he says, so basically newly classified documents prove that Hillary Clinton concocted the Russiagate collusion hoax, and CrowdStrike was to act as the media mouthpiece, okay, the media mouthpiece in the absence of actual evidence. Look at CrowdStrike CEO lying directly into the camera, claiming that Russia was responsible for the internal DNC leak. This is the same CrowdStrike that told us the DNC server connected to Seth Rich was hijacked or hacked by the Russians, but according to these documents, they knew that Russia did not hack the election. Not only this, but he was a former executive assistant director to the FBI, who this guy we're about to watch, who's now at CrowdStrike, this technology company.
Yeah.
Everyone was in on it. This was a large-scale coup happening right in front of the American people. Read the email again. Hillary Rodham Clinton approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections.
Right.
In absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media. When Trump highlighted the fact, now remember this, when Trump highlighted the fact that there were hidden CrowdStrike servers in Ukraine, on that phone call with Zelensky, he was literally impeached for it. All the puzzle pieces are adding together, but when will we find out more about Seth Rich, who Julian Assange insinuated was his source? It was not the Russians. They lied about absolutely everything, and it all ties together in a literal murderous, treasonous plot unlike anything we have seen in modern day. The question you have to ask yourself is, why was the FBI, the establishment, Soros, Clinton, and Obama so petrified of Donald Trump entering office? What were they so afraid of? Here,
Deep state.
that's right. Here it is. I'll let you respond to that. You got anything on
Yeah,
that?
I mean, what we know there is that all of it was Donald Trump is a billionaire. He can't be bought. Every other president can be bought.
wow.
Can be bought. What was Barack Obama's net worth when he went into office?
Oh, yeah.
Right. It wasn't nearly what it is now. He's worth $80 billion. Or I'm sorry, $80 million, and or probably even more than that. But that's what we know about. He's worth $80 million, and you're just like, okay, well, where did you get that money? From a book deal?
Yep.
Barack, or from some speaking gigs? I mean, I need to become a professional speaker if that's the case. But honestly, we know that a president, the two presidents in recent history that couldn't be bought was JFK, and they killed him for it, and Donald Trump, and they tried to kill him.
There's that old Chappelle or SNL monologue that Dave Chappelle did. He said, I realized Trump was different when he was like, looked at Hillary Clinton and said, I know the system is corrupt because I use it.
I use it. Yeah.
Because I use it.
And that makes me smart.
Yeah, exactly.
what he said.
No, it doesn't. That makes me smart.
That makes me smart.
That's great. All right, here it is. Let's just take a listen. So going back and watching these clips in their proper context is incredible.
Oh, gosh.
The deception is so thick. Here's Brian Williams again with the CEO back in the day of CrowdStrike, the company that, when Trump mentioned the phone call, he got impeached for it.
Disgraced.
These
Brian
days,
Williams.
however, and importantly, he is the chief security officer at CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is the firm, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, approached by the FBI, by the government, as a vendor, either once this attack was discovered or in a preventative manner. Either way, tell us what you know about this attack.
Yeah, Brian, we actually were called by the DNC through their counsel when they saw that there were some irregularities. They were concerned about potential breach within their environment. We came in, did our typical incident response. We deployed certain pieces of technology that we use to try to get some visibility into the extent, the depth, and breadth of this particular breach. In the course of this, working very closely with the IT staff of the DNC, we were able to identify with a very high degree of confidence a group that we have attributed back to the Russian government targeting that DNC network. We know with certainty, my time in the Bureau and now at CrowdStrike, that foreign intelligence services are constantly interested in political processes.
Do you even know what you're sitting?
So, looking right at the camera,
tell me lies,
telling
me sweet
what he
little
knows
lies.
to be a bold-faced lie.
Yeah, Stevie Vaughn said it.
I don't know.
Stevie Vaughn. Stevie Nicks.
I actually don't know what this last half of the video is. This is Julian Assange.
WikiLeaks never sits on material. Whistleblowers go to significant efforts to get us material and often very significant risks. There's a 27-year-old works for the DNC who was shot in the back, murdered just 2 weeks ago for unknown reasons as he was walking down the street in Washington. So
that was just a robbery, I believe, wasn't it?
No, there's no finding. So
what are you suggesting? What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that our sources take risks, and they become concerned to see things occurring like that.
But was he one of your sources then? I mean,
we don't comment on who our sources.
He almost nodded there.
He was trying to. He's saying it without saying it.
Yeah, he is.
Question about a young guy being shot in the streets of Washington.
Because we have to understand how high the stakes are in the United States, and that our sources are, our sources face serious risks. That's why they come to us, so we can protect their anonymity.
But it's quite something to suggest a murder. That's basically what you're doing.
Well, that others have suggested that. We are investigating to understand what happened in that situation with Seth Rich. I think it is a concerning situation. There's not a conclusion yet. We wouldn't be willing to state a conclusion, but we are concerned about it. And more importantly, a variety of WikiLeaks sources are concerned when that kind of thing happens.
Folks, if you are a high-level source, if you are a high-ranking official, if you have any sort of clout to you and decision-making ability, and you are robbed and murdered on the streets of Washington, D.C., New York City, anywhere, it was not a coincidence.
Yeah, that's exactly
deep state, the deep state does not allow for coincidences, folks. They murder threats. So do not be naive like the Democrats, because we have so many people on the left who are just so naive about the comings and goings. Oh, God, why would they do that? There's no way they would do that. Mm-hmm. There's no way. Bull. You're living in a dream world.
The question should be, why wouldn't they do that?
Why wouldn't they do that stuff? And that's what we're seeing. That's literally what we see every day with the deep state. And everybody's, oh, the deep state. You keep talking about the deep state. It doesn't exist.
It's literally, I mean, it's now right there in front of everybody to see.
Tulsi Gabbard is exposing every release and declassification that she is making is 100% exposing the deep state.
Yeah, and here you mentioned Tulsi Gabbard. This is her post. Whistleblower reveals how they were threatened by a supervisor to go along with the Obama-directed Russia hoax intelligence assessment, even though they knew it was not credible or accurate.
I'm shocked.
The whistleblower, so there are some people that are putting their lives on the line.
Principled.
The whistleblower refused. Yesterday, we released the whistleblower's firsthand account of what happened in the crafting of the January 2017 ICA. Their years-long efforts to expose the egregious manipulation and manufacturing of intelligence carried out at the highest levels of government, and the IC detailed in our previous releases, and how they were repeatedly ignored.
So first-hand account, is that pretty credible?
Yes.
What liberals, you're saying that's not credible. If you were watching this, you say, oh, that's not credible. That's not credible. Okay. What about the phone call that Trump was impeached for with Zelensky? Yeah. Okay. Was that whistleblower, was that a first-hand account?
Allegedly, they were either listening in or they had a transcript.
Yeah, they walked by. They walked by. They said that they walked by, even though Trump released the transcript.
It's a perfectly good phone call.
Yeah, it was a perfect phone call. But anyway, we've got a first-hand account here, and if you want to say that's not credible, then you also have to admit that the impeachment of Donald Trump in the first term was not credible.
Thank you to this courageous whistleblower and others who are coming forward now, putting their own well-being on the line to defend our democratic republic, ensure the American people know the truth, and hold those responsible accountable. And you can read the whistleblower there. Now, a lot of people want to know, Rob, is John Brennan going to go to jail? Is he going to be the first one?
I hope
the former
so.
CIA director will he go to jail? Some people are skeptical about this.
Served as CIA director under President Obama.
He recently went. He posted an op-ed defending himself. So here's more lies from John Brennan.
The Steele dossier played no role. The analysts didn't take it into account. It wasn't part of the findings or conclusions. Nothing at all. There was a document that was released in January of 2017 that included the assessment as well as several annexes. The FBI insisted that there be a short summary of the Steele dossier included as an annex in this document. But again, the dossier was not included at all in the assessment that determined that the Russians had interfered in the election. They were trying to hurt Hillary Clinton. They were trying to help Donald Trump's election prospects.
So the documents directly contradict that. Now, the reason I bring this interview up, Rob, is because General Michael Flynn's son, General Michael Flynn, was also framed for treason, along with Trump. Michael Flynn Jr. watched that clip of John Brennan that we just played. He probably watched the whole thing. He says, I just listened to John Brennan on MSNBC, and let me tell you, he doesn't appear scared at all. He says he's not been contacted by anyone from the Justice Department or the Office of Director of National Intelligence. He says, I could also tell just by listening to him that he still has his tentacles deep inside the CIA and other intelligence agencies, as General Flynn has been warning or saying. This is not good. My hope is he's being lulled to sleep before a live-streamed raid on his home occurs. Accountability or bust. That's what this is. It is that none of this matters. None of this matters as just a disclosure. I'm glad more people, hopefully you would think these disclosures would wake more people up. I just saw a video before we came on the air of Chris Cuomo saying, man, I've been wrong about a lot of stuff, over the last few years. So people are beginning to admit a lot of this. But the question is, why would they do this? The real question is, why wouldn't they do this? And that mentality continues if they get back in power and nobody's gone to jail for this.
Well, I mean, he's exactly right there. If you're going on national television, I mean, honestly, think about it. If you're ever charged with a crime, what's the first thing that your attorney tells you? Shut up. Don't say a single solitary word. Don't be going on national television. Don't be holding press conferences talking about all this stuff. So I agree with Michael Flynn Jr. here that if he's doing these press conferences, he's saying, hey, I'm not scared about this stuff.
Yep.
Whether he's coming out and saying it or not, his actions are showing that he's not scared about it, which is either – number one, he's hopefully being lulled into a false sense of security and the hammer's about to drop on him, or he knows better that he's what's the word? He's invincible to what's about to happen, and I hope that that's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, many people have said that John Brennan is one of the dirtiest guys in the intel.
Oh, he's a bastard.
And he's got stuff on everybody. Yeah. He goes down. He could probably take a lot of people with him.
He probably could.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody wants to talk about the power of the CIA. What we're seeing right here in real time is actual confirmation of the power of the CIA.
And this is Trump's biggest obstacle. Can he bring the intel agencies to heel? Does he actually control them or not? Because there's still plenty of people. I would say anybody at this point that was in the CIA that doesn't have some sort of paper trail or a whistleblower account, like if you were in the CIA working for Obama and you're still there under Trump, you need to be escorted out right now. Right now from the building.
Even if you're innocent, like, hey, it's fruit of the poisonous tree here at this point, right?
Yeah, it's a national security issue at this point. These people will do anything. 100%,
yes.
So in the context earlier, just a second ago, you were talking about politicians getting rich, weren't you? Didn't you say something like that earlier today in the show, like stock trading or something?
Yeah, we may have been talking about it off air. I don't know that we mentioned it on the show, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you've got Nancy Pelosi and all of these people who are
you mentioned Nancy Pelosi. Okay,
so
it's funny you should bring that up because we're now trying to pass some sort of congressional act that's going to
Josh Hawley.
Yeah,
he's initiating it in the Senate. From Josh Hawley from the great state of Missouri, our neighbor to the north. Josh Hawley is a fireball, and I love him.
When you say neighbor to the north, I feel like we need to be sitting on the front porch drinking some sweet tea.
Yeah.
Our neighbor to the north.
Our neighbor to the north up there, the great state of Missouri.
Missouri.
All
right.
Yeah, a lot of people call it Missouri.
So here we go. This is Caroline Levitt getting this question about Nancy Pelosi and, enriching themselves by being in office.
Have you talked with the president about his position on the stock trading ban bill before Congress? He obviously had pretty loaded comments about Senator Hawley. There's some reporting that they've since spoken. What is his position on the current status of that bill?
The president has spoken to Senator Hawley, who called him, and the president took that call. As the president said in the Roosevelt Room yesterday, conceptually, he of course supports the idea of ensuring that members of Congress and United States senators who are here for public service cannot enrich themselves. And the reason that this idea to put a ban on stock trading for members of Congress is even a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is rightfully criticized because she makes, I think, $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of approximately $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio, this was a fascinating statistic to me, grew 70% in 1 year in 2024, and her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year, and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. So I think the president stands with the American people on this. He doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the process. As for the mechanics of the legislation and how it will move forward, the White House continues to be in discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill.
There you go.
So from what I heard, that the president and the vice president would be exempted from that, and so there may be some critics that just say, well, why should they be exempted from it? Well, they don't have the control that a Nancy Pelosi would have on these committees, right? It's not that she is the Speaker of the House. It's not that she is one of the most senior members of Congress. It's that she's on these committees. She understands, like, hey, if we pass this legislation, it gets earmarked on this other bill, and Visa, the credit card company, is going to be advantageously supported through this legislation. I'm going to go out and buy a bunch of Visa stock today. Yep. Then this bill gets announced, and their stock goes up, and I just made a lot of money. That is the very definition of insider trading. You have information that the general public does not have. And somebody said that she has a 78% increase in the value of her stocks. Okay, folks, the very best that a stock market averages is roughly 10%, right? If you are having a great year, you get a 10% increase in your stocks, right? Historically, it's anywhere from 8 to 12%, so right in there. So if you're having a great year, you've got 78%. Okay, folks, you are playing T-ball as an adult with that. I mean, that's the best analogy I can come up with at that point. But you are hitting off of a tee as an adult, and you are knocking it out of the park every time because you've got all of this information. How does someone worth $174,000 per year in her income, how is she worth $413 million? Nobody is that damn good.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, I support efforts like this, but my take on it is I really just don't see how you're really ever going to be able to control it.
Yeah.
Like, the only way to really control it is to have Christians in office that have a moral compass that
there would have to be a little bit of an honor
this is
system.
wrong,
Yeah.
because you might be able to prevent you might be able to prevent the politicians, but what about their kids? What about the uncle? What about the Thanksgiving dinner
Yeah.
where it's like, hey, I just had a committee hearing and you need to buy more Visa stock? Like,
Sure. Well, I mean, that's what we saw with the Biden family right here with all of these shell companies. Like there were, 17 shell companies, and it was like 9 Bidens. Had it, and you're like, okay, what's my brother and my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, my twice removed, all of this stuff. Like that's what was happening. So, I mean, he was funneling it all through. Biden wasn't directly implicated. And so let's just say you ban Nancy and Paul Pelosi from buying stock. Well, I guess Nancy Pelosi's daughter is going to have some good stock trading.
That's exactly right.
You
Yeah.
know.
Or Chelsea Clinton or whatever.
That's right.
Folks, that's all the time that we have for this edition of the show. I want to remind everybody, you can become a paid subscriber you see it right there on your screen, paultalkshow.substack.com. That's paultalkshow.substack.com. Become a paid subscriber, and you'll get a copy of Left Wing Will and the Red Pill, the game that laughs at the left's expense. Rob, it's always great to have you on, sir. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here. We'll get this camera situation worked out, and it'll be less awkward.
It was weird. It started glitching, and then it quit glitching, and now it's glitching again. So,
oh, gosh. Well, we'll get it figured out.
Folks, thanks so much. The two of us, will be back here at 4 o'clock Monday on X America News. You can listen to my show tomorrow, the Millstone Report, at 12 p.m. Central on X America News. God bless everybody out there watching.